You're staring at an invitation to an event.
Hmm.
And a few years ago, you would have gone in a heartbeat. You'd be eager to meet new people, to expand your network, to just be out there.
Right. Completely. You'd be thrilled.
Yeah. But today, you realize you just want to stay home, maybe with your closest friend, or honestly, just a good book.
Yeah.
And part of you feels this flicker of guilt, like you're giving up or closing your world off. But another part of you feels this immense quiet relief.
It's a very specific kind of hesitation, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
You're holding that invitation,
Mm-hmm.
and you know the rules of the game. Like, you know how to be out in the world, you know how to project energy, how to mingle.
Yeah.
But the raw desire to actually play that game, it's just, it's evaporated.
I think you, listening to this, know that exact feeling. It's this deliberate, intentional shrinking of your world.
Yeah.
And when you catch yourself doing it, you're faced with two really honest ways to understand what's happening in your head. On one hand, you wonder, is this a retreat? Like, am I withdrawing from life? Am I losing my edge? Or maybe just giving in to stagnation?
Right.
But on the other hand, it actually feels like a deeper engagement with what really matters to you.
Because we find ourselves caught between two incredibly powerful, competing human drives here.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, we possess this intense drive to accumulate.
Yeah.
We want to gather knowledge, forge new connections, rack up external achievements.
Cast the net wide.
Exactly. Cast our nets out as wide as possible to see what we can catch.
Right.
But pulling in the absolute opposite direction is the drive to simply experience emotional meaning, the drive for equilibrium.
And for the longest time, I didn't really have a good name for this tug of war.
Yeah, it's hard to pin down.
It is. But we've gathered a stack of sources for this deep dive today, and it ranges from foundational developmental psychology to longitudinal aging studies and even some highly guarded recent neuroimaging preprints.
A lot of ground to cover.
It is, but it completely reframes this. This isn't just a quirk of your personality. It's a documented human pattern.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at two distinct lenses that explain why you are suddenly choosing the couch over the networking event.
I love that. Let's start with the felt relational side of this.
Okay, so in psychology, there's a foundational framework called self-determination theory, or SDT.
Right. Ryan and Odyssey.
Exactly. Developed by researchers Richard Ryan and Edward Dissey. And the core of SDT suggests that human beings are fundamentally driven by three universal psychological needs.
Which are?
Competence, autonomy, and relatedness.
Okay, so meaning we aren't just reacting to like external rewards or punishments.
Right.
Those three needs dictate the actual quality of our motivation.
Exactly how Ryan and Dissey frame it. So when you're younger or when you're operating in a really demanding environment, a lot of your behavior is driven by what they call extrinsic motivation.
Okay, so doing things for a separable outcome.
Right, like you go to the party to network or to make sure your boss sees you there.
Yeah, playing the game.
Yeah. And there's also a specific flavor of this called introjection.
Oh, interjection, that's a great word.
It is, right. That's when you do things out of guilt or anxiety or, to protect your ego.
Ah, okay.
You RSVP, yes, because you'd feel like a failure if you weren't seen as a social active person.
Right, so even if no one is explicitly forcing you to go, the pressure is still external to your authentic self.
Exactly.
The motivation is coming from the outside in.
But SDT shows that as we develop, if we successfully meet our needs for autonomy and relatedness, we naturally move toward intrinsic motivation and integration.
We start doing things just because they're inherently satisfying.
Yes. Think of your psychological drive like building a house.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Extrinsic motivation is like throwing up the scaffolding, pouring the concrete, getting the permits.
The visible stuff.
Right. You need the visible progress to prove to the neighborhood that it's a real functioning house. But intrinsic motivation is what happens once the house is built and the doors are locked.
Oh, I like that.
You're just inside arranging the furniture for the people you actually live with simply because it feels good and comfortable.
Wow.
So choosing to stay home isn't a retreat from the world. It's an evolution. You are moving away from the visible scaffolding of external validation.
And choosing the deeply nourishing experience of true relatedness.
Exactly.
I love the relational depth of that reading. It frames this shift as a move toward psychological authenticity.
Yeah.
But there is a second lens here.
Okay, hooray on me.
A psychological and research-driven reading that suggests this isn't merely a philosophical choice about how to live.
Okay.
It is a measurable, biological, cognitive shift based on a very specific mechanism. If you like sitting with questions that don't resolve easily, you're in the right place.
We're talking about socio-emotional selectivity theory, right? SST.
Yes, developed by Laura Carstensen and Joseph Michels.
Right.
And what's fascinating here is that SST argues this shift is entirely driven by our time horizons.
Time horizons, meaning how much time we think we have left.
Exactly. According to their research, when we are young, our brains perceive time as expansive. It feels infinite.
Like we have all the time in the world.
Right. And when your brain calculates that time is infinite, your primary biological mandate is to acquire information and prepare for the future.
Okay.
Your brain tells you to go to that party because you might meet someone who will be relevant to your survival or success 20 years from now.
That makes sense. It's an investment.
But when we begin to perceive boundaries on our time, whether that's due to natural aging or a life-threatening illness or just a major life transition, our entire motivational system pivots.
So it's mechanical reprioritization. It's not that I'm just tired of small talk. My brain is literally looking at the clock and changing my behavioral outputs.
It is entirely neurological.
Wow.
Carstensen and Michels document a mechanism they call the positivity effect.
Okay, the positivity effect.
As our time horizon shrinks, older adults literally prioritize positive emotional information over negative information. And they prove this using a dot probe task.
Oh, let me make sure I understand the mechanics of this experiment because the setup is brilliant.
It really is.
Okay, so they flash pairs of faces on a screen for exactly 1,000 milliseconds, right?
Yeah.
Just 1 second. Barely enough time to register what you're looking at.
Barely any time at all.
And one face has a neutral expression, and the other shows a distinct emotion, either positive or negative.
Right.
Then the faces disappear, and a tiny gray dot appears on the screen in the exact spot where one of those faces just was.
And the participants have to click to identify which side the dot is on.
Because your eyes will naturally linger on the face you were paying the most attention to.
Exactly.
If you were staring at the angry face and the dot appears behind it, you click instantly.
Yes.
But if you were staring at the angry face and the dot appears behind the neutral face, it takes your brain a fraction of a second longer to move your eyes across the screen and find it.
And that time delay reveals your subconscious priorities.
Oh, that is so clever.
Younger adults in the study responded to the dot probes equally fast, whether the dot was behind a positive face or a negative face.
Really? No preference?
None. Their brains were functioning as wide-net data gatherers, soaking up all emotional information, good or bad, because it might be useful later.
Wow, just pulling everything in.
But the older adults,
Mm-hmm.
they were significantly faster to identify the dot when it was behind the positive face.
No way.
Yeah. When a negative face was paired with the neutral one, their eyes had already darted away from the negative face to focus on the neutral one.
They were subconsciously editing their visual field?
They are biologically curating their reality.
That is wild.
The amygdala, the emotional center of the brain, changes its activation patterns to prioritize equilibrium over raw data gathering.
Wow.
So from this lens, you staying home isn't just you finding your authentic self. It is your amygdala filtering out the unnecessary noise to protect your peace, because it knows time's a finite resource.
That is incredible. And, when you take that subconscious filtering and stretch it out over a lifetime, it completely rewrites how we build our lives.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about who you actually text back these days, or how your friend group has changed.
Yeah, it shrinks.
It does, and we feel so much cultural guilt about losing touch with people or letting our networks shrink. But there's a massive longitudinal study by Lansford, Sherman, and Antonucci that looked at 3 different cohorts of people over 4 decades.
Tracking relational data over 40 years is monumental.
Right.
It allows you to see the actual trajectory of human connection rather than just a quick snapshot.
And their findings completely upend the narrative we usually hear about aging and loneliness.
Oh, do they find?
They found that older adults are actually highly satisfied with their current smaller network sizes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they aren't sitting at home wishing they were still at the center of a massive social web.
Okay.
They are intentionally devoting their limited emotional resources to a few close ties. They have successfully narrowed the field to maximize that feeling of relatedness we talked about in self-determination theory.
Which makes perfect sense when you consider what the brain looks like before that time horizon shrinks.
Right.
Before you filter, you have to acquire.
Yeah.
And to see the sheer intensity of that drive for accumulation, We could look at a study conducted at VU University in the Netherlands.
Okay.
They looked at medical students, ages 18 to 24.
Okay, prime acquisition age.
Exactly. Placing first and last year students into fMRI scanners to monitor their brain activity while they performed various cognitive, emotional, and social tasks.
What were they actually measuring in the scanner, though? Because, I mean, medical school is basically an Olympic sport for extrinsic motivation.
Right. Well, they were explicitly tracking the students' ECTS credits.
Like their academic points.
Exactly. Their points, alongside the neuroimaging. And the fMRI scans revealed that these young, developing brains, operating with expansive time horizons, showed intense activation and connectivity in regions associated with reward and external processing.
Wow.
Their cognitive load was immense, and their social and emotional processing was almost entirely entangled with achieving those external academic benchmarks.
So their brains are essentially functioning as data scrapers.
Pretty much, yeah.
They have to gather the information and secure the external rewards before they can ever afford to filter it.
The environment demands it. They are in an acquisition phase.
Right, but, time and age aren't the only boundaries we face.
No, they aren't.
We can't act like this neurological development happens in a vacuum where everyone just gets to naturally age into this peaceful positivity effect.
And that brings us to a crucial caveat.
Yeah.
This is from a recent preprint paper published on Bioarxiv.
Okay.
We cannot look at emotional regulation and brain behavior relationships without acknowledging structural realities.
Right.
And to be incredibly clear to everyone listening, we are strictly looking at the clinical neuroimaging data in this source material. We are not applying any political interpretation onto it. We're just conveying what the researchers found.
Absolutely, just reporting the data.
Right. And the numbers reveal a stark biological reality.
Mm-hmm.
The researchers measured how socioeconomic status quantified by the Townsend Deprivation Index, which looks at variables like unemployment and non-home ownership, along with racism-related stressors, physically affects the brain's architecture.
So they were looking at the amygdala again, right?
Specifically, the connectivity between the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, or VMPFC, and the amygdala.
Okay, which is the neural pathway we use for emotional regulation.
Exactly.
If I remember my neuroanatomy right, the VMPFC essentially acts as the brakes for the amygdala's alarm system.
Yes.
It's the part of the brain that says, hey, we don't need to panic right now.
That is the exact mechanism.
Okay.
And the Bioarxiv data shows that high allostatic load, which is the cumulative biological wear and tear caused by chronic stress, can fundamentally alter that braking system.
Wow.
Chronic structural stress wears out the VMPFC's ability to regulate the amygdala.
Wait, let me make sure I'm fully grasping the implication of this.
Yeah, go ahead.
If someone is living with a high Townsend Deprivation Index, right? If their daily reality involves navigating chronic systemic stress, do they just not get to experience the positivity effect as they get older? Like, does their brain literally lose the luxury of curating a peaceful reality?
The data indicates that chronic stress makes reaching that neurological emotional equilibrium drastically harder.
That is heartbreaking.
The constant environmental demand to remain vigilant, to process threat, and navigate deprivation, it keeps the amygdala highly reactive.
Right, the brakes are worn out.
Exactly. The typical trajectory where the brain decides time is short, let's focus only on the positive, is disrupted because the environment is constantly signaling that it is biologically unsafe to ignore the negative.
Wow.
The baseline brain behavior relationship, which is largely based on high socioeconomic status samples and historical neuroimaging, differs drastically across marginalized populations.
The environment physically prevents the brain from shifting from accumulation to peace. That is a heavy but deeply necessary reality to hold alongside the theory.
It is. And I should note, too, how difficult it is to even access this raw data to synthesize these findings.
Really?
Oh, yeah. To review the clinical neuroimaging for this deep dive, I frequently had to navigate automated query checks and bypass RECAT TCHA walls on the PubMed and PMC databases.
Just to see the data.
Just to read it. It's a testament to how locked down and complex this specific intersection of sociology and neurology really is.
Yeah.
More people carry both sides of this than you'd think.
They really do, because we are looking at a deeply entangled web of motivations here.
Yeah.
We have the psychological need for deep, authentic connection. We have the biological reality of our shrinking time horizons. And we have the environmental stressors that can short-circuit that entire process.
Right.
But the goal of pulling all these sources together isn't to force a tidy resolution or to tell you what to do with your weekend.
No, definitely not.
It's to remove remove the shame from whatever phase you find yourself in.
Because there is absolutely no shame in wanting to aggressively explore the world.
None at all.
In the Carstensen memory studies that proved the positivity effect, they actually used a camera advertisement to test their theory.
Oh, I love this part.
They showed participants a mock ad with the slogan, "Capture the unexplored world."
Okay.
If your time feels expansive, if you are in that season of life where your brain is functioning as an acquisition machine, gathering, growing, pushing boundaries, that slogan speaks to your biological imperative.
Right.
There's no weakness in wanting to consume information.
But equally, there is no weakness in wanting the other version of that ad.
Yeah.
Because the researchers swapped the slogan for a different group to read, "Capture those special moments." And the older adults, the ones with the shorter time horizons, remembered that ad significantly better.
It resonated with their neurobiology.
Exactly. When you feel the boundaries of your time, choosing to stay home, choosing to focus on a special moment with one person, instead of an unexplored world with 100 strangers, it's a beautifully healthy adaptation.
It really is.
It is a genuinely human tension between the drive for growth and the drive for equilibrium.
This tension, this split-second hesitation while holding an invitation, it's never just about a party.
No.
When we really look at what self-determination theory and socio-emotional selectivity theory are telling us, we realize we are talking about how we process our own mortality.
It's about time, and it's about belonging.
Our brains are these remarkably adaptable machines. As the clock ticks down, our fundamental identity and our desires physically shift to protect our well-being.
Yeah.
We aren't just stubbornly holding on to our youth and failing. Our minds are actively working down to the level of visual attention and amygdala activation to curate a world that provides us with peace, meaning, and true autonomy in the time we have left.
If this conversation felt true for you, both sides of it, you're always welcome here. You can subscribe to Leone Patterns and keep sitting with us.
As we look at the totality of these sources, we don't have to declare a winner between these two lenses.
No, we don't.
We hold the deep psychological desire for intrinsic relational depth, the need to act from a place of true autonomy.
Yeah.
And we hold the biological, neurological reality of our brain's changing time horizon, alongside the environmental stressors that complicate it all.
There is something so profoundly beautiful about simply allowing your motivations to change. To realize that the person you were 5 years ago who would have jumped at that invitation was perfectly fine.
Right.
And the person you are today who wants to stay on the couch and arrange the furniture of their inner life is also perfectly fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to apologize for outgrowing the diet of extrinsic motivation.
And it is endlessly fascinating to realize that underneath that feeling of wanting to stay home, your amygdala is physically changing its focus.
It's so cool.
Your visual attention is darting past the negative to find the neutral, to find the positive, to protect your peace. It is biology working in the service of your emotional well-being.
I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today, something to explore on your own that builds on this biology.
Yeah.
Our entire culture is obsessed with hacking aging, with extending youth, with convincing ourselves that our time is infinite.
Oh, big time.
But if we spend our whole lives trying to trick our brains into thinking our time horizons are endless, are we accidentally robbing ourselves of the very biological mechanism designed to bring us peace?
Wow.
Next time you feel guilty for saying no to an external demand, ask yourself if you're really missing out or if you're finally letting your brain do exactly what it was designed to do.
Same pace, same questions. See you then.